your very first guitar lesson. You've been to the music store, you picked out that perfect guitar, you brought it home, took it out of the box, now what do you do? Well, this lesson is designed for those players who have never played the guitar before but are ready to get started. So in this lesson, we're going to learn the parts of the guitar. We're going to learn how to hold the guitar. We're going to learn the strings. We're going to learn how to tune the guitar, very important. We're going to learn how to read a chord diagram, which are going to be important going forward. And then you're going to learn your first chord today. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is look at the parts of the guitar. This is an acoustic guitar. It's a mini, so it's a little smaller than most, but the parts are all still the same. This is the body of the guitar. The body is the big wide part, and that's where the sound comes out. So the bigger the body, the bigger the sound generally, but this sounds pretty good for a small guitar. On the body you have the bridge. The bridge is where the strings attach. The strings go into. These are called bridge pegs. Here are your strings. You have 6 strings on a guitar, obviously. This is your sound hole. This is what produces the sound on an acoustic. On an electric, you don't have that, but on an acoustic, this is where the sound comes out of. And I do have a pickup in here also, so I can amplify it, but the sound's really coming from here. This is your pick guard. What this does is prevent your pick from scratching up your guitar when you're strumming it. Next, we have the neck, and this is a little shorter. This has 25 frets. These are your frets on the guitar. The frets tell you where to put your fingers. This is called the nut. The nut is where the strings come from the headstock here onto the neck. Of course, this is the headstock. These are tuning pegs. What the tuning pegs do is they make the strings tighter or looser depending on what you want, and you want them to be in tune so you get that nice, beautiful sound. An out-of-tune guitar is not a pleasant experience. And this is called a capo, but we're going to go over this in a future lesson. We're not going to worry about that today. All right, so now that we know the parts of the guitar, we're going to learn about the strings. So down below you'll see a keyboard with the relative notes on the piano as they pertain to the strings. So here you'll see the lowest one. This is your lowest tone. That's called an E string. That's your E. A, D, G, B, and E. So you have a low E and a high E. And when they number the strings, they start here with the high E. This would be your first string. So it seems kind of confusing. You'd think it'd be this one, but this would be your first string. And again, you'll see how they relate to the piano. Okay, next thing we're going to have to do is learn how to tune the guitar. And again, if I'm going kind of fast, remember you can always go back and watch parts again. You can pause it, practice it. I just want to kind of introduce you to the instrument you're about to take on here. Tuning the guitar, a lot of people just have a tuner, and I have a tuner on my phone. It's an app, a nice Fender app that works really well. But if you don't have that, you're going to have to learn to tune it by ear. So this is called relative tuning. So if we start down here on our low E string, and then we walk up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets. So what you're going to do, and you can use your first finger on this one, push down on that string, on that note, and that's going to produce an A. So let's just put out a tune a little bit. So if you play this note, this is the 5th fret on your low E string, and then play the second one, you notice that they don't match up. They're supposed to be matched. So we want to turn that tuning peg while it's still ringing so we can hear it adjust until it kind of matches. And this will help you train your ear. Sometimes our ears aren't quite as sharp as we want them to be, but okay, that sounds pretty good. Then we go to the next string. Same thing, 5th fret. It's a little sharp. Okay, play that. Those match up. That's good. Third, or the D string. Play the 5th fret again. Play here. Okay, they match up. Now, when it comes to your 3rd string or your G, you got to go back 1 fret to the 4th fret. That should match up with the B. Okay, then you go back on the B string, you go back to the 5th fret, and they should match up. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Okay, next thing we're going to do is when you're learning guitar, and I always like to teach chords pretty quickly because I feel like it's important that you get some kind of results in a fairly short amount of time just to kind of keep you motivated, not to get frustrated. So when you're learning chords, you're going to look at what's called a chord diagram. On your chord diagram, it's as if your guitar is sitting up like this and the strings are matched. So your E here is your E on the chord diagram. Now what you're going to do is you're going to look at first up here. You have your X and your O's. So the X, that means you're not going to play that string. It's either muted or you just skip it altogether. And I'm giving you a sample of a C chord. We'll learn that in a later lesson, but for right now it's a C. All right, so in this chord here, we're not going to play this low E. There's an X above it. The next string, now we have our fingers here. This is your 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger, and 4th finger. Your index finger is your 1st, middle finger is your 2nd, ring finger is your 3rd, and your little finger is your 4th. And sometimes we'll use the thumb, and I'll show you some chords that we can use the thumb for in later lessons also. So if you look at our chord diagram here, we have a C. Okay, the first finger we're going to use is our 3rd finger. That's right here. And it's going to go on the 3rd fret of the A string. So you're going to push down. And when you're first learning guitar, your finger's going to be a little sensitive. You haven't used these parts of your fingers in this way. You're going to have to build that up a little bit. So it's going to be a little sore for a little while. It's okay. It's like lifting weights. First few weeks, you're really sore, and then your body starts to get used to it. So don't get frustrated by that, and don't give up. Just get through that, and you'll be all right. So the first one we're going to do is our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret. That's our C. And then our next finger, and you're not going to play this, I'm just showing you how to read the diagram. The next finger is going to be your middle finger. And that's going to go on the 2nd fret of the D string, like that. Now you see there's a 0 or an O up here above the G. That means that's open. There's no finger put down on that. That's your note. It's an open string. And then the last one here is your 2nd string, or your B, and that's going to use your 1st finger on the 1st fret. So this one's kind of convenient. You have your 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 1st finger, 1st fret. And again, I'm not going to play this one. I can either mute it with my thumb or just skip it altogether. Start right there. Okay, so that's how to read a chord diagram, and that's going to be very important when you're playing. Okay, now, next thing we want to do is just kind of work on how to hold the guitar, your posture, positioning. I like to bring my right leg up and just rest the body of the guitar right here on my upper thigh. It's most comfortable for me. And again, I'm coming from a right-handed perspective. If you're a left-handed player and you're playing the opposite, just reverse everything, I guess. But I like to keep it right here and keep the body or the guitar nice and tight up against your body. Okay, then you want to kind of let your left hand hang naturally. Don't force your elbow out or in too much. Just kind of find a nice, comfortable, neutral place for your elbow to hang, especially in the beginning. You don't want to do stuff like that. You'll cause some damage to your wrists and to your hand. Okay, first chord we're going to learn is called an E minor. And we'll get into some music theory in future lessons, what minor means, what major means, all these other little symbols you're going to see. But this is what an E minor looks like if you look at the chord diagram. So an E minor, and it's a nice chord to begin with because it only uses 2 fingers, a lot of open strings, no muted strings. It's a very nice chord to get going with. So an E minor, you're going to use your 1st finger and your 2nd finger, 1st and 2nd. Now if you look at the chord diagram, your 1st finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the A string, and your 2nd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the D string. So that's an E minor. Now with this one, obviously everything's open, so you can just strum it. Doesn't take a lot of stretching. Your fingers are nice and compact. They're on 1 fret. They're close together. As we learn some new chords, you'll start to have to stretch a little bit, and you'll see that gets a little more challenging. But for right now, let's stick with the E minor. Okay, with your right hand, you got your pick. just simply put the pick between the index finger and the thumb. Don't grip it too tight. Keep it kind of like a nice grip so it doesn't fall out of your hand, but it also, if you hold it too tight, then it gets kind of a nice, or it gets a little too much of an aggressive tone. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold our E minor here, and we're just gonna strum it. And that's it. That's your first chord, E minor. So go ahead and try that. Get your guitar out, get your pick out, get it all tuned up. Again, we went over all this. You can go back and watch the video again. If you need to relearn how to tune it, watch that part and practice along with me. The chord diagram, if you have any questions on that, go back and you can look at what I've put on the screen there. All right, so with your E minor, that's going to be the beginning. All right, I hope this was helpful. You can find other lessons on this page. If you like them, go ahead and subscribe. So remember, learning an instrument is challenging, so be patient. Take time, practice, and I guarantee you will get better. All right, we'll see you next time. Happy playing.